Will you be attending this? When you help me with this, sometimes stop in. I'm trying to live stream it through YouTube.
It looks like it's going. See the
Yeah, now it's going. Sometimes it is stopping. Just keep checking and hit it again.
Yes, I will make sure it keeps going.
Yeah. If it is, thank you. Thanks a lot. And if you have any problem, I'm just here and you can call me.
Okay. Yep, I think it is live right now because I have the timer going.
Thanks a lot.
Sir? I have like I didn't feel here. We both worked up late. I was supposed to wake up at 6 and I watched it go But first of all, no, it didn't go off. My friend's mom, my best friend's mom, one, she called Mrs. Smith. And I refused. Because I was like, yes, and she was like, no. And I like, you're like, no. And I was like, well, it's like, your parents are like, your husband, and they feel bad. So I was like, they call me Debbie, and I was like, fair enough.
Hi, thank you everybody for coming. We're going to get started shortly. We're so pleased with the turnout today, obviously, that we didn't even anticipate it. If you are of able body and comfortable, we'd love to offer you some floor space over here and here that you could just come and have a seat here. If you prefer to be in the back, that's fine. But wherever you can find a safe space for yourself would be great. I'll join you on the floor. No, I meant down. Let's get on the floor.
Yeah, it's still working. Yeah, it is. I was put in charge of making sure it doesn't stop.
Thank you.
Do you want to? Just a minute, I'm going to get a picture of you guys here for a second.
Wait, is this all of us?
There's Lauren's in the back. I'm just sharing it with our group.
Oh, just so you know, you're live.
It's just to share with our group here as you're doing it. We're from a council that takes a lot of pictures. What do you mean?
Welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and start. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Dr. Mamaka. Okay. So we're really pleased that everyone is here today. I know it's like standing room only. We're super excited about that, and I hope you can stay and just learn all the exciting information that we have to empower our daughters. So I'm Dr. Donna Sill. I'm a professor at NYU and the founder of Mother Daughter Connect. So for all the NYU folks.
I'm Dr. Mamata from India. I run an NGO called Tharuni since 24 years. I work for the adolescent girls and women in India. So thanks a lot for all the response, and we welcome you for this fruitful discussion, and I request everyone to participate in the deliberations so that the speakers are very eminent and experienced. They can give you more and more inputs. So this is the beginning of our NGO CSW 68. Thanks a lot. Let us begin with the band. Okay?
All right, so we're having a little bit of technical issues, but we're going to go ahead and start. I have my esteemed colleague, Dr. Corinne Boyer, who is going to announce the speakers. They'll come up and sit down. We're going to have like talks. They're going to do 5-minute segments each. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have a conversation. And so I'm really excited about the discussion. So Dr. Boyer. All right. Yeah, we'll have all of the speakers to come up, stand up, kind of. Yeah.
So, all the speakers, if you could make your way to the front now, one by one. Jacqueline Leduc Estrada.
Let's give a round of applause for all of them.
Dr. Rashonda Pittman. Karen Chambers. Dr. Pamela Moraldo. We have 2 more. Jerry Rubelin. Oh, thank you. Glad you got my color. Thank you. This is done nice. Thank you so much. It's a story.
Okay, so I'm.
Before getting started, I just want to say one more time, if you'd like to take a seat right across in front of the front row, you can grab a seat on the floor. If you're more comfortable standing, that works too. Yeah?
Just be careful.
Jennifer? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start. I apologize, we're working on the connection, but we're gonna have a talk about daughters as change agents. Okay, so how many young girls under the age 18 and under that are here? Could you kind of give me a round of applause so I can get a nice, okay. All right, so we need to hear from you what your thoughts are about what we're seeing. Okay, any mothers in the room? Okay, all right, a round of applause for the moms because you just all the rounds of applause that you can have. All right, any grandmothers in the room? That's me too, mom, grandmother, my grandmother Harper's here. I don't know where she is, but she is, there's Harper. Okay, and so any aunts? All right, yes, that's aunties, there we go. Okay, or any woman that gives to young girls, which I think a lot of people, or any allies, any men that give to young girls, let's give yourself a round of applause. And my organization, Mother Daughter Connect, works with the way we communicate to young girls. Okay, so I had a slide, but you can't see it. But like instead of using the word bossy, what other word could we use? Assertive, right? Instead of strong-minded or strong-headed, what about independent? So we talk about shifting the language for girls. When we think of a change agent, we think of someone that's innovative, that's an advocate, that a girl that's confident. But how do you, as a mother, an aunt, a sister, how do you instill that in the girl? And so that is what we're going to be talking about today. I actually had some slides up about research. It's called the impact study that was done by the Girl Scouts. Do we have any Girl Scouts here? I see some Girl Scouts. So, all right, good. And there's also some data from Girls Inc. And we have the president of the New York chapter here from Girls Inc. Any Girls Inc. girls here? Okay, so it talks about what are the elements that make a girl a change agent. If we can get it up before the end of this, I'll show you. But one of the main things that there's 5 different elements. And one thing that kept coming up was having a supportive adult in that person's life. And one of the questions, and I want you to think about this question, think about when you were a young girl, or think about even now. Like, is there someone in your life that believes in you, other than your mom, that believes in you? That is the question. Every girl should have someone in their life that believes in them, other than their mom, but especially their mother. Because we know by the research that mothers have a big job. What we say, what we do, how we talk, how we walk. all of those things our daughters are watching and emulating. So we're going to talk. There's some exciting information that our panelists have about grandmothers, aunts, mothers, and so I want to share that with you all now. So thank you for that, and let's, Amata, did you want to say something? Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Professor Donna. So, Tharuni, which we have started in the year 2000, works for adolescent girls. So, we could successfully show that these girls from the rural areas of India, particularly Telangana, so they could work as change agents because they are part of the girl child clubs called Balika Sanghas. So these clubs in rural areas for the 11 to 18 age group, they could help in minimizing the child marriages and dropping out from school, and also curb the human trafficking in the villages, and also work on child sexual abuse. So these girls not only on these social evils, but they are also working on the infrastructure what they need, or the village development, or whatever the safe spaces they need. So they have been trying to voice out wherever it is needed. So we could successfully show so many success stories that through these clubs, the girls can get unified and they can act as change agents. But we start with the mothers in the villages because nobody wants to send their daughter to this club. So initially we start with the mothers. We try to convince them what we are going to teach them or train them. So once they are convinced, these girls regularly come to our rural resource centers where we train them on the life skills, the soft skills, and so many other skills which they require to fight the challenges they have to face. Globally, 4 in 1 girl faces the intimate partner violence. And we have in the COVID time, before COVID, there were more than 100 million girls who were married off early. Now after COVID also, there is a chance that more than 10 million will get married. And we still, what the work we have done to stop these child marriages all these years have come to zero during the COVID time. Again, we are stopping so many child marriages. Last week, we had to stop a marriage of 13-year-old girl who was getting married, and we could stop the marriage for the present. We don't know when again she may get married. Sometimes we stop 4 or 5 times in her lifetime, early marriage. So that is before 18. 18 is the legal age for the marriage in India. So we fought for the law. New law came in 2006. We were part of the parliamentary committee. We could bring in a new legislation. After that, we could file about 78 public interest litigations for child marriages. And we could win no case because most of the cases take so long that these girls, they get their marriages consummate, they have children, and so the offender will never get punishment. But one good thing is, whenever we file these cases, there are no child marriages in those villages again, because the Child Marriage Act says that anyone who approves or who encourages child marriage or early marriage can be punished with 1 year, 2 year jail and imprisonment and 1 lakh penalty. So that shows that we have so many lapses in the implementation of the laws. So we have worked with similarly on the dropout, child labor, child trafficking, child abuse. We run one-stop centers called Bharosa with the police. So I wanted to show actually those slides on one film, Girl Power. You can see it in our channel Tharuni, in the YouTube channel. You can find that film. So how these girls could improve the situations in their lives, not only in their lives, in the villages. They could get the liquor shops closed. In one village, 20 liquor shops were closed by these girls' child clubs. And they could bring back their fathers from the addiction. And similarly, they could get roads laid, they could work on the schools, sanitation, even the toilets for them, even the street lights for them, and safe spaces for them, all these things. And they also now fight against child marriage. They go stop the child marriage and make sure these girls continue education. So all this apart, definitely if mothers and grandmothers or aunts in the family, if they can, chip in and play a role, definitely the girl's life will be different. If they feel that, child marriage is inevitable, or she has to work for 4 hours, 5 hours in the house, and can skip school whenever or college whenever it is required in the family, then nothing can happen. So the pivotal role the grandmothers, mothers can play and make them, fight against the stereotypes and also be happy than themselves. So that is very important. That's why we have this conversation today. And I would like to invite all the guests. We will introduce one by one so that we can start with Ms. Jerry Uberlin. She is the one founder of and CEO of the Global Interactions, an NGO that focuses on global partnerships, opportunities, and including conferences, study programs, seminars, to enable the counterparts to share their best practices, research, and technologies that will build relationships and increase the exchange of information and results expediting conversations of action. Last year I met Jerry. So, she's 75-year-old. Can you imagine? She's such a dynamic lady. Oh God, she's 83. So, even I can't climb the way she climbs upstairs. So, actually, she started World Academy for Future Women, a bold and daring leadership program. And we could bring that program to India for the first time last year in October. And she's been working in China. She could have transformed the lives of more than 10,000 girls there. And they work with the mothers also there. So they work on to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And this program, which started in China, has expanded to a few years, 1 year, second year, again. Now they have also started Men's Academy in China. And similarly, they work in Mexico and other countries. I think Ms. Oberlin will speak about her work and how she works to empower those girls who are from the downtrodden families and how they become the global citizens and achieve their dreams. Thank you, Ms. Jerry, for coming all the way. I think you can speak now.
Thank you. I think it would be appropriate if you would take out your phone and take a selfie. Would you all do that now? Because at the end of the session, at the end of the week or 2 weeks, you're not going to recognize yourself. So please take a selfie today so you'll remember how you looked before you came into this wonderful opportunity here at the United Nations. I don't have much time. I don't mean because I'm 83. I mean because I'm 5 minutes. Oh my gosh. So I would like for my team, my delegation to stand up. They represent, So please meet with them. I was going to have her say something, but I'm not going to. So meet them, find out. The alumni from the World Academy, the Men's Academy, a facilitator, board members, and a real strong supporter from Vancouver. So please meet these people and find out how we can connect. We need your support. We got a big job to do. I really think that the equality and the achievement of UN sustainable goals will happen in the home. I think if we start raising our children differently and having equality in our homes and in our neighborhoods, it's a piece of cake. But we grow up with bound feet, we grow up with clitoris mutilization, we grow up with getting married early, we grow up with don't go to school, stay at home, at least in the countries that I work in. So we can start that with the mother-daughter conversations. And in the World Academy, we have a section where we prepare women to have, and men, to have adult conversations with their parents. And I think this is where it starts. Everything starts with a conversation. And when women and mothers, young women and mothers can speak freely and in,
Yes,
I thought it was a whole thing.
yeah, come over this, you just have to stand here. You have to
Okay,
be very careful with it.
yeah,
Yes, okay,
that's smart.
yes.
So mothers traditionally pass on the culture, they pass on the traditions of the culture. Yeah, and so when they do that, I think our job as young women is to start telling mothers about the vision of the future that you have. Girl Scouts, are you listening? About the vision you have. What is your plan for your future? And enroll your mothers in that vision. And you get enrolled in the vision your mother has for the rest of her life. My mother was amazing. So this is at the World Academy in China. We've had for the last, 16 years, a women's symposium. And at that symposium, 10,000 people come, and we ask the students in the university to bring their mothers, because we know that we're telling their mothers something that they haven't told their children, their daughters or their sons, something that they haven't, or don't know how to tell them, or don't even want to tell them. So the conversation begins there, and we have an honoring mothers reception where the daughters bring their mothers to the stage and thank their mothers for the opportunity their mothers have provided them to go to school, to not be married, to seek a future for themselves and for others, and not just a degree, but a purpose in life. And so our program lasts a year long, and there's a second year and a third year and a fourth year, and then you can be a facilitator and go all over the world. So this is what it looks like. And Sebastian is here. Can you find me there? This is like fun. And so the mothers and daughters exchange gratitude for their relationship. And the humidity in the room just goes up tremendously as all the tears fall. So this is mothers give women predictability, and daughters can give mothers predictability out of sharing what they now know. We go into villages and work with children and model things that we want mothers to do. So my daughters require the skills to listen to their mothers, and mothers listen to their daughters on what they see as their future. And our students in the World Academy do vision boards. We encourage them to do vision boards with their mothers and the grandmothers, or whoever will do vision boards with them, so that everybody has a future for something, and there's probably very few that haven't lost that vision on the road to being a mother or being employed or whatever happens in your life. So daughters need to clearly understand. Look at the mothers. Aren't they wonderful? Next, do another one. Yeah. And when we first started this, mothers didn't come to campus. This is in rural China, in Henan province. It's a rural, remote province of 100 million people. I'm going to say that again. Rural, remote, 100 million people. And so when we first started the Honoring Mothers program, mothers didn't come because they thought they might embarrass their daughters. They may not look right, and they looked perfect. And so over the years, we've really increased, and the mothers come and they bring their husbands, and they bring young siblings. Was that in one of the other ones? Or must be in the next one. Well, there was a little guy. Okay. So we're in China, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Mexico, Uganda, and Kenya, and we would love to come to your country as well. So let's keep this relationship moving so that we can hasten the acceleration of women's leadership worldwide by preparing women to have meaningful conversations for a future they want to create for themselves and for others. For themselves and for others. So please, our team is around and will hang out after this is over, and would love to talk to you about the World Academy and begin conversations with you on how we can continue this relationship, continue this, and get powerful women in the decision-making rooms and in decision-making tables. So we're interested in who you are. We're here because you came. So let's please continue that. Was that my signal?
Yes, it was. We're having something today on the 11th floor at 4:30. Is that what you?
Yeah, Monday.
Next month, the 18th.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
See you there.
So I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Jacqueline Leduc Estrada, and she is the main representative to the United Nations in New York, Make Mothers Matter. Jacqueline is an urban planner specializing in housing and social development with 10 years of experience in the suburbs of Paris. She is passionate about cities and gender. Jacqueline is committed to social causes. She fights to improve people's living conditions. And she is currently working with All Together in Dignity. The French is Carmone. In English, it's the Fourth World in New York, in the leadership team and community outreach. She has also volunteered with several organizations, associations, including Make Mothers Matter, doing advocacy work at the UN, in New York to give visibility to mothers in society and recognize their role as change agents. Jacqueline grew up in Mexico City and lived in Paris for 15 years, and her dual citizenship has given her extensive exposure to the social realities of different countries. Fluent in 3 languages, I'm very jealous, fluent Spanish, French, and English, she is able to interact with people from all walks of life.
Hello everyone, thank you to be here. It's a beautiful crowd. So I want to introduce also my 3 other colleagues from Make Mothers Matters, Aurélie, Elisabeth, and Marie. They are here.
Could you please stand?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
And also, I am the proud granddaughter and daughter of single mothers, and I have amazing aunties who inspire my life. So, and today I want to say very, very fast, Make Mothers Matters is one association who exists since 1947, and we are present in the UN from 1949. We are also present at the UNESCO, the European Commission, and we present also 50 association grassroots around the world. And our main purpose is really to bring the reality and concern of mothers, even though they are very diverse, and really we want to work in this topic in the connected with social development goals. And today I have only 5 minutes to introduce you to 2 main topics of advocacy. The one is going to be unpaid work. Maybe you know, you live that, but you don't know the term. And the second one is going to do something about toys. So, so do you know what is unpaid work? So women and girls, especially mothers, spend more time than men on care work and domestic tasks, preparing meals, in some countries fetching water or collecting wood, and of course taking care of children and other dependents. Those services are work and are unpaid. So this is the unpaid work. So it's this work with mothers and girls do, but there is not recognized by the economic value they have. But unpaid work, they have a very good value, it's a good thing for societies. And in 2020, Oxfam say this report to say how the unpaid work is really related with poverty, because the girls and women, especially mothers, they don't have the capacity to study, to work. They are not recognized about the retirements and all those things, so that generate a burden who can go into precarity and poverty. So this is something we really want to explain about unpaid care work. And this issue was there in the shadows until a few years ago, almost 10 years ago, when Magdalena Sepúlveda showed the report about the unpaid care work. She is the former United Nations Special Reporter on Poverty. And from that, especially with the pandemic, everyone was aware about what the unpaid care work. Because many mothers, they need to take out of their work, be in a remote work, also to take care of children with remote learning. And that was the moment when the society say, what happened? Mothers are at home, and we realize they spend many times with children. And they do many things, but we didn't aware about that. So this is the moment with the pandemic, with the unpaid care work became something very visible for the society, but this is still for many years. So this is a very main obstacle for the society, because we cannot be aware about the possibilities of mothers to raise their children and give all the care they can do it. Because actually there is mothers spend women perform 76.2% of the total amount of unpaid care work, 3.2 times more than men. So, and this work is, however, statistically invisible, and the value in the GDP is between 10 to 30% in every country. So also when we think in that about time and about the statistic is something which is very valuable for societies. And so, what is the problem with unpaid care work? Care is a value for societies, but today, care works are considered less important to the economy than jobs in the financial sector. So if you raise your children, you are less considered like a banker or another profession. So, but the care value is very important for societies, because thanks to care is education, informal education, to bring mothers the possibility to raise children and to bring values and to empower children. So if mothers don't have this capacity, what happens? We only have children who want to repeat stereotypes and roles who are not the ones that mothers want to bring to children. So, and I told you the COVID crisis really showed this reality, and we need to be aware about that, who it's something who exists. And with the COVID crisis, also many mothers don't back to work, and many girls don't back to the school, because they need to be in the unpaid care work system in their country. So this is something we need to find out about that. And unpaid care work is a very indispensable component of human well-being, because it sustains the economy and the people around the world. And what is the solution? The solution is established in a 3R framework, who is the R to recognize, reduce, and redistribute. What's that mean? Today, we need to recognize that every mother works in-house in many different things. And also, we need to recognize the unfair pay drivers that mothers are for not only for children, but also for other people in the family. And reduce, we need to reduce thanks to the infrastructures in the society, to put more child care system, water, in electricity in some countries. And redistribute is the easy but not easy way to do, because we need to redistribute to every member in the family, every member in societies, in corporate, in governments, and this is something who could be, sounds very easy, but it's not easy to go that, to really how we can to distribute that income. Yeah, and so, but to help us, the United Nations, they did many things. The ILO, International Labour Organization, they recognize unpaid care work in the definition of work, which is very important. When women launched the Global Alliance of Care, we are part of that, with Make Mothers Matter, also the Global Coalition for Social Justice, and the resolution on care, who also bring the state members to be aware of that, and the state members, they need to work on this. So, what is important to invest in care? Because investing in care was investing in the future. If mothers have this possibility to have the time to care their children, they can empower them, especially daughters, to don't repeat stereotypes, but to be the woman they want to be. Mothers or something else, but especially to have this possibility to be someone. Okay, this is very, very fast. And if the mother have also, as told you, this possibility to have the gender stereotypes by the toys, because mothers have this possibility to bring the informal education, who means to give the children the possibility to be educated at home. So the role of toys is not to be something gendered, but this is like the marketing who, well, I can, that's a start, especially in the 70s, with the marketing campaigns, give this idea of pink and blue. But before that, the toys, that's something more to really bring kids into the societies. And today, there are some responses from governments to say, yes, we need to do gender neutral toys. And this happened in California. In France, there is also some campaigns. And the most important, what is the role of mothers, grandmothers, and aunts, is the importance of intergenerational education of mothers and young girls cannot be stressed enough, because mothers, they have this main role to really transfer values to the girls. And the virtuous circle can bring about opportunities to effectively tackle negative gender norms and unlock potential to enable them to have more fulfilling lives, to be able to exercise their fundamental human rights, and to fully contribute to the economies and societies in which they live. Mothers, grandmothers, and aunts have a key role to advance gender equality. Thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. LaShonda Pittman, an associate professor of American Ethnic Studies at the University of Washington, Seattle. She is the John Hanauer Honors Professor in Western Civilization and has an appointment in the Department of Sociology. Dr. Pittman's book, Grandmothering While Black, a 21st century story of love, coercion, and survival, explores the complex lives of Black grandmothers raising their grandchildren in skip generation households. Dr. Pittman's scholarship has been published in diverse venues, including Health Equity, the Russell Sage Foundation, Journal of Social Sciences, Social Science and Medicine. I can go on. But I will mention your research on grandparent caregiving and African American families featured in Mothering and Black Lives Matter, Relational Poverty Politics, Healthcare for People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Across the Lifespan, and the African American Experience, Psychoanalytic Perspectives. And several institutions have funded Dr. Pittman's important work, including National Science Foundation, Ford Foundation, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Northwestern University, Hiram College, and the University of Washington. She is the founder and director of the Black Digital Humanities Project, Real Black Grandmothers. And with that, I turn over the podium to the woman. Thank you.
5 minutes, record time for me. So I want to thank Dr. Sil and Lamanta for organizing this really important and incredible panel. I also want to start by thanking my amazing partner and friends who are here today to show love and support. Stand up, stand up. Hi, Karen. Awesome. So, thank you. There is a record-breaking number of grandparents on the planet. I love talking about grandparents. I can do this all day, and I'm going to try to do it in 5 minutes. Representing almost 20% of the global population. This is a picture that represents a subset of grandparents who have been impacted by the HIV/AIDS epidemic, sub-Saharan African grandmothers. Grandparents the world over have played an important and indispensable role, as we all know, in contributing to the well-being of the generations succeeding them. In the past half centuries, that importance and indispensability especially among grandmothers, who Dr. Estrada mentioned and talked about so well, perform the bulk of caring labor. That indispensability and that importance has increased. We're seeing more grandparents living in multi-generational homes with their grandchildren. We're seeing more grandparents providing the bulk of childcare. And for the research that I do, we see more grandparents who are raising grandchildren and primarily responsible for them. There are demographic, economic, and social changes taking place worldwide, like the HIV/AIDS epidemic, that's contributed to this increase in the importance and indispensability of grandmothers. Some of the reasons are unprecedented socio-demographic trends like rise in single-parent-headed households, declining marriage rates, rising divorce rates, increasing life expectancy, and declining birth rates. We're also seeing more grandparent involvement because of parental death and displacement brought on by war. There's not a continent on our planet that does not currently have an unsettled territory dispute. We're seeing more grandparent involvement because of parents migrating for work, the COVID-19 associated orphanhood, and drug epidemics, just to name a few. I believe that Black grandmothers have something to teach the world about navigating grandparenthood in the 21st century, including those that are not directly impacted by the kinds of systemic inequities that they and their families experience. In the United States, they occupy the very unique position of being more likely than all other grandparents to be raising their grandchildren and to be doing so without a parent or a partner living in the home. 1 in 10 Black children will end up in a skipped generation household. This is the highest percentage of all U.S. children. So with the exception of American Indian and Alaska Native grandmothers, Black grandmothers have been where many other grandparents the world over are now beginning to go. Which means that they've been dealing with some of the issues that I highlight here around those demographic trends, social problems like the lack of affordable housing, which we all know, under and unemployment, the lack of affordable childcare, and then changing social welfare policies. We live in an age of neoliberalism, which is pushing a lot of responsibility back onto families and taking the government taking hands off of supporting families. Welfare reform, the war on drugs, and then changes in the child welfare system and policies and practice. The racial geography of the child welfare and criminal justice systems in Black communities without all of these structural forces has fundamentally changed grandparenting for African Americans in the post-civil rights era, much more so than in previous generations have experienced these phenomena. Next slide, thank you. One of my favorite scholars, Patrice Malidome-Somé, tells this story about how in West African culture, the grandparent-grandchild relationship is so prized because grandparents are coming from where grandparents are heading to where grandchildren have come from, meaning the spirit realm, and it's important for their paths to cross so that they can swap information in this lifetime. That always stayed with me, that story. I give thanks almost every day for the 2 grandmothers whose paths I was fortunate enough to cross. My maternal grandmother, Warnella Wells, and my great-grandmother, Ida Wells. I'm pretty convinced that the amount that they poured into me kind of anointed me to do this work on the planet. So what is it that Black grandmothers have to impart as they cross paths with their grandchildren? You are all about that. So this is me talking to one of my favorite grandmoms, my then mother-in-law, Virginia Gay, I speak her name. So I think although what they have to impart is unique in terms of this expression by them, I think there's a lot of universality in what they bring to their grandchildren. So one is there's an urgency to grandmothering now. So in part, because for grandparents who are stepping in to raise their grandchildren, they know that they are the primary safety net when parents can't raise their children. And so they're kind of the last line of defense. So there's a lot that has to get done in that relationship, given that they be the last person who interacts with that child in a parenting capacity. There's also urgency because of age and because of health, right? So there's this whole idea that developmentally, as you get older, you are making peace with leaving the planet but there's urgency when you're concerned about not being here and making sure that your grandkids get what they need. And there's urgency because of family circumstances. Some of the other things that they try to impart that are really important is prioritizing their grandchildren when parents can't or won't, making sure their basic needs are met, as well as kind of giving into some of their wants. Preparing them for a life beyond them is really important. So that looks like making sure that their legacy continues by investing in their grandchildren's educational, spiritual, and psychological development. As one grandmother says, that she tells her grandchildren by bringing in all these services, I don't want you to depend on me. I want you to be able to go, go, go. Not worry about relying on grandma. Protecting them is important. Ensuring the continuation of their lineage. Many of them talk about making sure that their blood ties are honored beyond their lifetime. And then lastly, I'll say learning from them. So there's a 63-year-old grandmother that I interviewed who expressed adamantly that children have something to teach you too. She's like, a child can teach you something. I tell my kids, grandma got all ears. So others talk about how kids come here now more today, knowing more than prior generations, and many being called to action based on the knowledge that they get as they're crossing paths with their grandchildren. Ultimately, crossing paths is meant, with grandchildren, meant seeing beyond what is possible in the present. It meant preparing their grandchildren for the future and for a future without them. As the grandmother Beulah mentioned, go, go, go. Don't rely on grandmother.
I am delighted to welcome Karen Chambers. Karen is a media and marketing executive, published author, and senior editor of Sisters in AARP, dedicated to empowering women of color and championing diversity, equity, and inclusion. With a history of leadership in beauty and lifestyle branding, communication, and organizational management, she has led global strategy and business development for a breadth of multicultural brands, including Iman, Dark and Lovely, Black Radiance, and Posner Cosmetics. A Rutgers University alum holding a BA in Communication, Certification in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion from Yale School of Business, and she is also ordained as an interfaith minister. Ms. Chambers is on the Cosmetics Executive Women's Board of Governors, where she serves currently, and also hosts a dynamic new monthly social media series for Sisters from AARP, spotlighting award-winning female authors and entertainers, including Vanessa Williams and Beverly Johnson. And with that,
Play a little something because I like multimedia. Let's see if it works. No, it doesn't. Okay. It's actually in the slide. I don't know if there's audio capability. Yeah. Nah, that's okay. All right, fine. So, hi everybody. It is so good to see all of you. What I was going to play along with the slide is a song by Cassandra Wilson called Sankofa, just to get us in the mood, to get a chance. Play it for yourself. It's really beautiful. So, one of the things that, thank you so much. What I found in my current role at Sisters from AARP, because I'm definitely here speaking to the grandmothers, to the mothers, to those who are 50 plus, but also to all the young women that I'm excited to see here in the room, is that I get this opportunity in the role that I have now because I, for the most part, oversee. Oh. Thank you. Now,
grin. So as I was saying, I get this really awesome opportunity as somebody who oversees our social media and community building for Sisters for AARP. And so what that gives me a chance to do is to work at this kind of intersectional space between what has passed and what is moving forward. Because as we know, social media has become media. As we know, AI has become such a significant part of all that we're doing now. And so we're at this space of innovation right now, particularly for all the young people in the room. This is second nature for you. This is what you do. This is your world that you're inheriting now and you're helping to develop. But one of the things that's been really interesting in kind of studying what works really well in the social media curation and creation that I work on a daily basis is that nostalgia seems to really resonate with a lot of our audience. And so I asked myself, why are nostalgic materials, when I harken back to quotes and things that have been said by people like Harriet Tubman, why does that resonate so much? And it occurred to me that in this intersectional space between moving forward and where we've been, there's this gap, right? There's this uncertainty about where we're going. Life is very uncertain. We've got a lot of rapid changes taking place, but there's a grounding in what's come before. And it occurred to me that culture is a lot like a tree, right? You've got your leaves and your branches that are ever growing and ever evolving, but what gives that tree strength is its roots. And so Sankofa is a word from the Akan language, from the Twi language, if I'm not mistaken, that talks about that we hearken back in order to move forward. That it's actually to our benefit to be aware of the things that have come before us in order to give us the momentum and wind beneath our wings in order to move ahead. And so it occurred to me, how does that really work as it relates to young people? Because I certainly know I didn't want anybody preaching at me, telling me, oh, back in the good old days, here's how we used to do it. Like, nobody wants to do that, right? I'm looking around at young faces. But what it occurred to me is that what my mom did with me is that she continued to model certain behaviors around womanhood. She modeled for me what it was like as a woman to be in corporate America in the 70s and the 80s as someone who cared. Nowadays, we talk a lot more about non-toxic work environments. Well, in her day, it was always toxic. It was always male-oriented. It always had elements of racism and sexism. And so watching her go through those experiences, but maintaining her sense of self, maintaining her dignity and decency, knowing how to lead in the roles that she played with a sense of compassion and caring, it was unheard of at the time. It wasn't popular as it is so important now. So I really inherited those tools. And so it occurred to me that this is really how we move forward with a sense of grounding. Because let's face it, as it's been mentioned, COVID had a really, really negative impact on many of us in terms of disconnection. And so little things like going to family reunions, etc., we got separated from one another. So what I really want to say, because I don't have a lot of time, I could talk an hour about this, but I know I've got a minute, is that the connections are really, really important. So for those of you who are here, all the young people, ask your moms, ask your grandmothers, get curious about how they did it, not to mimic them or to mirror them, but to just really get rooted in the things that we can take away from our mothers, our cultures, our communities, in order for you to take that innovation to the next level, but still be really rooted to the things that anchor you and help to build that wind beneath your wings. So that's what I just wanted to encourage today. Thank you.
We have come to our final speaker, and I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Pamela Moraldo, who is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Girls Inc. of New York City, an organization that provides life-transforming educational programs and opportunities to over 10,000 girls and communities throughout New York City. Dr. Moraldo has served as Chief Executive Officer of two national organizations, Planned Parenthood Federation of America and a type of clinic violence, providing medical care and educational services to 5 million Americans each year with a 50 million plus revenue budget. And the National League for Nursing, the national education and testing body that promotes quality of care to the public. As CEO, she led financial turnarounds of all 3 organizations, created strong marketing capabilities, and provided strategic direction in the public policy arena. During her tenure, the National League for Nursing quadrupled in size, which is pretty amazing, with revenue growth from 5.2 million to 20 million in just 6 years. Dr. Moraldo, and this is close to my heart as an FNP, started one of the nation's first primary care nurse practitioner clinics at Columbia University, right here in the Upper West Side of New York City, using nurse practitioners as patient advocates, as well as primary care practitioners. And the practice continues to be highly successful, despite its proximity to many well-established medical practices. Dr. Moraldo has appeared frequently in the media on many programs, including Good Morning America, Dateline, MSNBC, and now we have you here. Thank you for coming.
And she's an NYU graduate.
You know, you take notes on these phones and it never works. So I'm just trying to thank you so much for that introduction. We say our mission is to inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. And you heard we serve 10,000 girls, mostly Black and brown girls from the poorest communities in New York City. So we act, as Dr. Sill said earlier, as the presence of a caring adult. Because a lot of the families don't have 2 parents. And there's a struggling mother that's doing what you can do to make ends meet. So we step in. The best example, and our ultimate aim is to produce change agents and leaders. And I'm very happy to say, so far, we're doing a really good job. Best example I can give is we have a commencement speaker with a big gala every year at Cipriani's on Wall Street. Last year, we had a young woman from Ghana who stood up in front of a very fancy audience of bankers and media people, leaders in New York City, and told them how her family didn't believe in educating girls at all. And because of Girls Inc. of New York City, that woman stood in front of the audience, told everybody she was going to Harvard on full scholarship to become a venture capitalist. True story. And there are many, many others I could tell you. We're doing a lot, but there is a lot left to do. If you, according to recent studies, 50% of girls think that if they speak their minds, they won't be well liked and they'll be perceived as bossy. Majority of young women don't think they have adequate leadership skills. Self-confidence is a big issue. Girls internalize negative criticism. So if you get your employees together and you tell them that they need to improve, the boys will focus on what they did wrong, the girls will think something's wrong with them. And boys tend to overestimate their abilities in math and science and topics along those subjects along those lines they study. Girls always underestimate those abilities, and that trends into adulthood. So if you're applying for a job, a promotion, an important position, the girls won't apply unless they have 100% of the qualifications listed. Studies show. Boys only have to have 50 or 60, and they're on it. So, you know, these socialization practices matter. You know, everybody's talking about their own mothers and grandmothers and things. And I have been very fortunate to have some significant positions in my life, and something really sticks with me about my own socialization. When I was pretty young, I got offered as a job as a lobbyist for nurses in Washington. And I called my mother and I said, Mom, they want me to be a lobbyist, but to tell you the truth, I don't know what it is. My mother said, I'll never forget it, Pamela, take the job. By the time they find out you don't know, you'll know. And I did. And that's what we try and instill in the girls in our programs. We try and give them the confidence to be bold. And as I said, we're getting some pretty good results. 85% score high on financial literacy. Almost everybody goes to college. 1/3 major in STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math. And 90% score high on rejecting stereotypes. So our mantra for the girls we serve is what President Obama said. He said, let's not wait for some other people some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, we'd like to open the floor for any questions, discussions, any thoughts. Okay.
Hi, I'm Caitlin from Australia. I'm with Girls Brigade International. We work with young girls and women, and I just wanted to ask the whole panel, how would you say is the best way to involve the mothers of the girls we work with in the work that we do?
Acknowledge what they've already done.
We use data, and we show them, for example, if a girl finishes high school and college, this is how much they can earn, that they can do both. I mean, we have problems at lots of times with family planning and religion, abortion, and so we navigate that very, very, very carefully. But we do navigate it.
To that point that Jerry made, you saw the picture of the Honoring Mothers reception that the World Academy for the Future of Women holds. And that is really a super emotional moment that really recognizes the mothers and creates that bond between mothers and daughters. And the one picture that Jerry was showing was a student called Wonder, Chinese English name. And her mother, I must say, was one of the most impressive mothers, women I've ever met. She had such a strong sense of power that she really conveyed not only onto her daughter, but onto the whole audience of like the 10,000 people that Jerry was talking about. So I would encourage every one of your organizations to really adopt that model of the Honoring Mothers reception. I think that's a universal tool that all of you can use.
Yeah. I'm not a mother. I'm 23. Not that 23-year-olds can't. Anyway. And when you were at the beginning asking, who's below 18, who's a mother, I didn't raise my hand for any of them. And I guess I'm wondering, as a person maybe in that liminal space, how can I still support young women and seek out opportunities that are non-maternal, but are powerful and supportive relationships?
We do a lot of mentoring. I mean, the thing, we have really great programs. Our programs are top notch. You can't get them in high school, yet they're vital. However, the thing that makes it work are the relationships, the connection, the mentoring. So getting involved with an organization, providing a role model and the kind of support, there's so many young people that really need it, and their mothers are working, they're not able to give them what they need emotionally, counseling. So I say get involved, be a mentor.
I represent mothers, but I'm not a mother either. But I am a woman, I am a feminist, and I think this is uninspiring for the things I do. So I think it's really when you want to advocate for something, this is the most important, to do a mentoring, to be part of one organization, to to be in this 3R framework to redistribute unpaid care work to you, your family, the other families around you. So little things are possible to achieve big goals. So.
I'll also add to that, something I tell my students quite a bit is to use the gifts you have where you can. So it may be mentoring for you, it may be something else, but it is finding what that is, and not making that connection as an excuse to not be involved, because I think we all have so much to give, so, yeah.
Be a role model. Be a role model for all women. And a mentor and a facilitator in the World Academy.
And I just want to say the way you stood up, I missed your name, the way you stood up and your confidence and just getting up and asking a question, you know how difficult that is? I still struggle with that, believe it or not. So I think just anything that you do, and your energy is so like magnetizing. If you could give that to a young girl, you're winning. Okay, we have a Girl Scout here.
See, you can see here all the way straight how you can support a girl. Can do it.
Okay.
Oh, I would. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna go
You go
first.
first.
Yeah, she was low, so she. Okay.
Hi, I'm Sonam. I'm a Girl Scout of Girl Scouts USA, and I have a question for Dr. Pamela.
Yeah.
So in your organization, like, what activities do you do to build boldness in young girls, and how do you think these could transfer to communities or cultures that are more against boldness?
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, we teach martial arts. And if you want to see something, you see a young girl breaking a board with her hand. It's quite a sight. But the other thing we do is we teach them to stand up in front of audiences. We teach them public speaking. That's what most people are afraid of. And a lot of times I notice, these girls are so smart. The one that I talked about from Ghana. I could stand here and tell stories all day about young girls like that. But I notice there's a timidity. They don't speak up. They don't present themselves in a way that says, here I am to the world. We teach them to do that. And we teach them not to be afraid of each other, that people are more simply human than otherwise. Everybody's got something. And so be who you are. Be your authentic self is a constant refrain. I hope that helps. I mean, my program person was here and she was giving more examples. That's top of mind.
Okay.
Kia ora koutou, Talafalawa, Malami Tafakainga. My name is Hupesi and I'm from Pacifica Incorporated. I live in New Zealand, but I represent Pacifica women in the diaspora living in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And such an honor to be here, and I just want to acknowledge the people of this land, and if that is you, thank you for welcoming us to your space and for hosting us here. Question for our panel. I picked up on a point that you, Dr. Lashonda, talked about around that this generation of kids knows a lot more. So to the panel, what are your thoughts on whether that information is debilitating for our young people? Because it's a lot. We have access to various things now, but is it debilitating? I'm just keen to hear what you think.
I think that it can be. I think that's the role that we're talking about, how it's important for us to all sort of help to shape that and channel that. Figuring out what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, teaching that, not hindering it, but also knowing, again, sort of what's developmentally appropriate. I think one of the things I see a lot with grandmothers is sort of the impact of technology, for instance. Like, even my own mom who has a grandchild who's in her 30s, and now my nephew who's like 7 or 8, and she is blown by the fact that when you take this from him, he has a fit. And so that kind of information that he's getting, what I find my extended family doing is balancing a lot of that with real interaction, a lot of correcting, but also affirming the parts of it that work.
Working in social media, I wanted to address that as well, because it's not debilitating in and of itself, but it can be. And I think what's really critically important is to know the difference between what is real and what is not real. And so with what we're seeing a lot with AI, what we're seeing a lot with filters, what we're seeing a lot with cyberbullying, et cetera, it's really critically important to have our internal filters up and to be aware of what grounds us. What is actual reality? What do we all look like? When I look around this room, I see faces of all different colors and different skin tones, etc. Not everybody's skin is perfect, certainly mine is not, we're all different shapes and sizes. These are the things that are really important for us to continue to communicate so that the artificial elements of information do not take over and create unrealistic expectations and actually wound us. So I think it's really important to have those emotional filters up and also those integrity filters up. And I think that that connection between mothers, daughters, grandmothers, etc., help us to do that.
I have one thing to add. I think a distinction to be aware of is not about making money, but making a difference. And the other thing is not what is your major, what's your purpose.
Okay, we have a question.
Hi everyone, I'm Shakis Matsay, I'm from Turkey. I am an academic supervisor in a Women Democracy Association, but I'm also a social anthropologist and assistant professor in university, working for gender and women studies for like 15 years more. I want to just underline that caring and true daughters and true women, we spoke a lot, men and grandfathers as well. I want to ask that whether it can have a risk to underline the care relation with women more and more, and maybe just make them in like vulnerability more. Like we can just attribute some responsibilities more and more to the daughters and women again and again, and then having the role. From this point, my question is how we can involve more men and please, yes, men in this conversations and networks that the all roles are not attributed to the woman actually. This is a long question, and I know that we can discuss forever, but maybe your basic tricks can help us.
Ooh, that's a hard one. So one of the things that I'll say, and this is me speaking as a sociologist, and we've talked some about socialization here, I think it starts young. I come from a family of male caregivers. My only uncle took care of my grandmother after she had a near fatal car accident. My brothers were in Atlanta helping my mom with my grandmother. And so that's what our family does, but those men have been socialized to do that work, right? And so I think part of the socialization, I also think part of the structural, like why don't we give men paternity leave the way that we do women? Not that we give women enough, by the way, especially in America. But I think sort of those structural realities are important. I think dealing directly with toxic masculinity that says that caring is a problem in some way. So I think socialization, structure, culture, all of those things make a big difference. And we keep electing people into office politically who undermine the role of men in caring for their families and communities. I also think that that's something important. So when we're voting, those are the kinds of things that we need to be thinking about.
I actually think the answer to the question is economic. When I was in China, in Beijing, I saw outside of the city, in little rural areas, when I spoke to the women, they told me that they had nothing to say about sex and about birth control until they started to bring in some income into the family. Once they did, their husbands listened to them about the sexual relationship and birth control, and also began to assume some of the household responsibilities because they valued the income.
So I back to the 3R framework: recognize, reduce, and redistribute. So we need to take about this idea of care. It's for the whole society, and everyone have a role to play. So the role of the distribution in the house, in societies, in enterprises. So and you have the power of social media. So this is also a way like to share information and to help your mothers and to be inspired for them.
I think she was
and yeah.
Hello, my name is Grace Rajay. I'm with Big Ocean Women. I'm a global strategist. And I find it so refreshing to have a conversation about the family unit here at CSW. This is something that I think should be included in every conversation here. I also, like you, I'm 23. I'm not a mother, but I understand that the family unit, unless we mobilize that and acknowledge that as the foundation of society, nothing can get done, right? It has to start in the home. That's a beautiful sentiment. So my question for the panel is how can we continue encouraging conversations about the family unit while at CSW especially, but also respectively when you go home after CSW?
One of our operating principles is point of view and blind spot. And I think if you can approach your conversations in your family, their points of view. There's nothing right or wrong about any of it. It's just a point of view. And for every point of view, there's a blind spot. And so you've got to listen, and you've got to care about it. You've got to have respect for each other as you plow through this rapid rate of life we're living, and just love one another.
I don't know if I should say this or not, but there was a big article in the Wall Street Journal recently by a fellow that's pretty conservative, talking about exactly that. The nuclear family in this country is dissipating. You know, you have more people that aren't married increasingly, especially in low-income situations. There are, 25, 40% unmarried women having children. And I think we can all make an argument that it's not a good thing. In terms of how we do that, I think politically it's a challenge. I think, though, that we all should get involved from an advocacy point of speaking up for the role of women, for the integrity of the family. And, in this country, it's an election year, and it's a good time to speak up. But I think that's the only way things get done. Here, in other countries, I don't think other countries are having the same stark challenges we are about the disintegration of the family. Not to this extent. So I think getting involved and speaking up. I mean, I know that's a lame answer in a way, but that's all I know.
All right, we have one more question. I think there was one or two. Go ahead. Okay, Harper. Okay, we'll start with you, and then Harper, come up for your question.
Sure. Hello. I've been working. I know Jerry, and I've been working in rural China for the last 18 years to help young women to finish education. And recently, I expanded ended up working in China, expanded to other countries in Asia. So talk about the education is the first step, but the girls have been working for 20 years. Almost none of their mothers had any education. And plus, those regions, the gender inequality has been deep entrenched in the culture. And recently, I had 4 or 5 Zoom conversations with a young woman from Pakistan, and I very much to see her become the first our scholarship recipient to come to Canada or the U.S. to do a master's program. But she is from a family. The decisions are made by her father and the 3 brothers. Once I asked, I said, what did your mother say? And she said, my mother doesn't have a So I'm stuck right now. So that's what, I work with Chinese girls and their mothers are in person for many years. I've seen things has, changed dramatically for better. But now the challenge is facing gender inequality and mostly some religious reason for women, for mothers, don't even talk about the grandmother, don't have a voice, and how they establish this strong relationship to influence their daughters. This is my challenge now. Thank you.
I understand. I just want to say this. It came up for me with the previous question, and it was about Dr. Pittman's work about grandmothers raising children. And the thought came up that families look so different everywhere. And we can acknowledge that families are imperfect, they're perfectly imperfect. And from culture to culture to culture to culture, they're going to look different. It may be a traditional mother and father, it may be two moms, two dads, a grandmother, an aunt, etc. And I think what we're doing here is creating the kind of dialogue that allows young women, again, like in that analogy that I talked about earlier, to move forward and at the same time take from their own families and cultures what works without being wedded to it. So I think just the type of conversations that we're generating in the work that some of you are doing here is going to embed those things into the next generation so that they can take what works and leave the rest behind. So I think we can all be encouraged that it may be slow change, but I think it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the right point. You know, whether it's the Global Women's Academy or Girls Inc., whatever the organization is, I think those of us that are really pushing for women's equality really have to find a way to involve the community of mothers and supporters to show them there's another way. I mean, a lot of people would argue that because as women get liberated, the nuclear family dissolves. We have to somehow bridge that gap, whether it's paternity leave and all the other things to, you know, help men assume a different role in society as well. But I think you could say that we're on the way, and maybe it looks a little messy right now, but I think that's the direction we're headed in. And organizations, I think like ours, can begin to help lead the way.
All right, we have Harper has a question here, the youngest member of our audience.
Hi, I'm Harper's dad, and my question is, how do you make 7-year-old girls more confident?
Thank you, Harper.
Harper, honey, if you do what you just did 10 more times this week, you'll be well on your way.
All right, we want to thank you for, we do have a little bit of a raffle. Some people put their names in here. I'm just going to quickly choose 4 names. Tessa O'Brien. Okay, we have, Okay, yeah, it's, yes, come on up. Let's clap for Tessa. Okay, come on up, Gloria. Okay. Maria Estrum. Maria Estrum. Okay. Two more names really quick. Amelia. No last name. Okay, Amelia. Sorry, you left early. Isla Mata. Effie. Not sure. Jamie Capella. Okay, Jamie. Get one of them. And the last one. Do you have more? Sarah Betts. Come on up, Sarah. Okay. All right, thank you. Let's see. Thank you.
All right, just want to thank quickly everyone for coming, spending your time with us. We have a strict schedule because the next parallel event will be coming in. If you want, you could come up and ask us any questions. But I want to say a deep thank you for my NYU family for coming out and supporting me. Dr. Jen, who really jumped in last minute. Dr. Corinne, Jamie, Dr. Daniel David, who solicited, I think he just walked out. But thank you so much for my daughters, Kennedy and Aaliyah and Harper, for answering the questions. And just all of our distinguished, amazing, expert panelists for coming and taking the time. We have people that came from all around the world to be here today. You flew in last night at 11 o'clock from Washington State. I mean, where are you coming from, Jerry? Phoenix, okay. And so we just want to thank them.
Thank you so much. There is a last one which I wanted to say was a sloka from Skanda Purana. It says that Dasa Putra Sama Kanya Dasa Putra Vardhayan. So one daughter is equal to 10 sons. Whatever you say, she is the leader and she has to lead. So, although we have to bring in the boys and men along with us, we have to make our daughters as change agents for a better society tomorrow and today. So, thank you so much for all the families that are here to be part of this event and making it so successful. I thank our Tharuni team, entire team and my family who are there back in India for supporting me. Thanks a lot, NYU also and Dr.
If you're my student, you can just come get Jenny for credit.
You guys from bigger? Huh? You guys from bigger?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. Wonderful. So nice to meet you, Kate. Great.
I'll take you. Oh, amazing. Awesome. Great. Nice to meet you guys. Have a great one. Nice to meet you. I will see you in a bit. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Perfect. Thanks, sister. Watch out. See ya. Oh my God. Sorry.
Did you guys want to say hello? Did you get a chance to?
What?
Did you get a chance to say hello to the panelists? Did you want to? Just dump it. We got 30 minutes before the next one starts. You guys have some questions. I'll take one of them. I'll let them on. I'll be on the side. Don't worry. I appreciate it. If you wanted to meet and greet with the panelists, you got 30 minutes before the next event rather than make you guys stand in the hall. Gather, say It's right downstairs. I found the room already. And the other event down there is still finishing up. So they have to empty out the tables as well.
Is it like the same size?
Is that a sarcastic extent, or are you actually like happy to be okay?
I was like, wait.
Girl Scouts, you were saying? 16 girls.
Congratulations. So you got to come in. So cool.
So like, what do you do with your
So we
Walk around, find out money lounge, figure out how to wrangle you guys. All good things, all good things.
Send this to us, Donna?
In the middle.
Don't move yet.